And here's part 2 of our Alan Wake coverage for chapters 3 and 4. So good. So good.
We finally
Both
found
chapters.
those reasons. Adam, we finally found those reasons why we need all those batteries now.
Yes.
Game finally picked up some difficulty.
There were definitely some parts that I did multiple times. Actually, I don't know if I'll be able to find it readily in a very fun instance. So in one of the in episode 3, there's a spot where a big bulldozer comes out, and you need to um, take it out with your flash or your lights, I should say. It's more than just your flashlight if you choose to use additional. So
It's at the end of the first section of episode 3, right?
correct, right before getting the vehicle. So one of the times that I'm doing that, it clips me, or not clips me, I should say. It like full on runs me over and kills me, like straight on. And it was apparently right at the end. So right after I die, the achievement pops for having defeated it.
Oh,
It's like, okay, I guess.
Must have run over your flare.
Yeah, it had to be right at the here, I think. So if I no, it wasn't a flare. It was like my body.
Oh,
Just like the
your flashlight got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So here we go. Don't know how it happened, but I caught it on video. So
That's awesome.
I was like, no, I don't think I did. But anyway, yes, no, there were some parts that picked up. Actually, the hardest part for me from a gameplay discussion, difficulty-wise, second part of chapter 4, when you're headed to the farm and they start you out with no items, or with no light,
Yeah.
I love that
and
part.
no gun. So the way, given that this is more of an action game than a survival horror, although I play survival horror games this way too, I always fight. I don't run.
To be a real paladin.
You must not fight now. So needless to say, I redid that part like 4 times before I'm finally, because I was like, no, darn it, I'm going to start this generator. So I
tried to start the generator. I gave up. I ran away. I came back. I started the generator, and there was nobody there anymore because you had already left.
Yes.
I'm just like, no, get back here, you bastards. I'm ready for you now.
And there was like nothing there as well. It was like
the other
pick
great,
up no rewards, no batteries, nothing. It's just, here's a light. I was like, what?
I got lucky, and the objects were flying all around me, but I managed to get that generator up and running, and then got myself in safety, so it was nice.
The addition of poltergeists.
Yeah, so that happens in chapter 3. Just on that whole generator, the funniest part about going back and starting it, which I also did, is it actually moves your checkpoint back. Because the only way to despawn all the guys chasing you is to get to the next checkpoint. And
that's awesome.
If you run back, which I did because I'm an anal bastard, so I run back and start the generator to see what'll happen. Of course, it lets me start it, and then it gives me a checkpoint. I'm like, even now, the game is laughing at me, like, you fool. So that part did pick up difficulty.
The design of you have to look everywhere to find all the pages and all the crap, and also, by the way, you're not going to have any items to defend yourself here. That's so good.
There, I think it was one manuscript page in chapter 4 I missed. So I missed one. I ended up looking it up afterwards. It was in the cabin, but we'll get there. Other gameplay notes for the poltergeist items I kept, because it has like the last minute dodge mechanic in this game. I kept being like, no, I'm going to get it to work on one of these poltergeist items. It doesn't work. I've tried enough times to be like, either my timing is not great, which is possible, but I beat my head against that wall enough times. I just don't think you can do that. Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, your best defense is cover rather than dodging.
Yes.
You can't dodge impact.
I tried to iframe like an entire minecart, and it didn't work.
Yes.
And then so it just cleans my clock, and I'm sort of just like, okay, fine, get over here, tree.
Yeah.
The tree of shame for people who can't iframe minecarts.
Aaron had wonderful ball issues.
Oh, the hamster ball of doom. Yes. The
Well,
hamster ball in the cycle lodge
in
where
the clinic, yeah.
Where you need to have it taunted to break open the 2 doors. Yeah, that was terrible.
So the other thing I like is the very first time you come across a poltergeist item. Where is it? I think he says, "What the hell?" It's right.
See, the notes, the transcripts, they're great, but they give you the warning that items are going to start being possessed. So the fear factor is like, oh, not really. Like, oh shit, oh no, this is the end of the world. It's now like, oh, I was prepared for this, and I was wondering when this was going to happen. Now it's happening.
But that's everything.
Very true, yeah.
If you get the manuscripts, like getting the manuscript about Tor hitting somebody with the hammer.
That sequence is another genius part, because you first get the manuscript in chapter 3, so you barely all the context you have for Odin and Tor is the lime in the coconut scene in the diner. And since then, you heard about how there are these rock stars that sort of woke up the slumbering whatever in the lake. So then you get this page about him flipping out and hitting a nurse with a steel hammer, and you're like, oh, I thought these guys were cool. I guess they're a little unhinged. You're not wrong, but keep reading. And then when you first meet the two, Tor has a squeaky hammer.
Yes.
And so in the back of my head, I'm like, maybe I misread the steel thing.
Exactly. Yes, I had the same thought.
And so maybe he just hit him with like a squeaky hammer, and he thought he was being funny. I was like, okay, these guys are fine, and also they're badasses and they're cool, which I already knew. And then sort of once they're narratively recruited to you, and then that happens. If you notice, it is almost impossible to see it happen. It is entirely narrated. And so they actually use the fact that the manuscripts told you what happened in order for you to visualize it happening, because once you get down the stairs, it's already in the past, and there is like no way to rush over to the railings and get your camera to see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue is what guides you to the fact that it is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Here's a poke, wench.
There's a lot of interesting context, like the way that they use context, and I think it's funny because the way I'm playing, every time I come across something new, I'll like stay and watch it. So like a good example is in like chapter 3, there's the helicopter with like the birds attacking the helicopter, and then you can see it go down and like that whole thing. You don't have to watch any of that. I do think it's kind of interesting, and I like how they make a lot of those things optional.
This is the lessons that Half-Life 1 taught us all those years ago, and people just never learned it. That it's more interesting if you just watch it if you want to, and if you don't care, you just keep going.
Interesting. I guess I did not. I still have never played that game.
Yeah. Well, Half-Life. There's a lot of times that, like in Half-Life, when things are going on, that like normally like there'd be a cutscene and you'd be frozen in place, and then there's the protagonist who's invested or whatever. Who cares? And in Half-Life, it's just everything's going on. Like the scientists are expositioning to you, and you can just run the hell out of the room. Or
it's all in engine.
It's all in engine.
No cutscenes where they just stop you.
Which is nice, right? Like,
yeah, this is what
I like that approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like in this one, it's your choice to watch the helicopter blow up, and so it also means that you can miss things, which means that if you're looking for it, it means you're more attentive, and it rewards you for keeping your eyes up.
And
and also it rewards you for watching the whole entire TV shows also.
Yes.
I was going to say they mix the forced narrative through cutscenes and the ability to view what you'd like to view. The radio shows.
The cutscenes are very few and far between. There's like maybe 2 per episode, I feel like. It's just generally like at some kind of major bridge. And that's like the only time they'll use cutscenes.
Coffee thermos.
And that's what I got.
Radio show.
So I was going to say, clearly I have not been collecting a lot of coffee cups because it took till chapter 3 to get the I'm missing
How many
too
is
much.
that?
Don't know.
25?
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. I definitely think it can be done earlier. I'll say it this way: if there's 100, it's right. Episode
that's a
3
quarter.
seems late.
Coffee
Yeah.
thermos is a damn good cup of coffee, which on Steam only 36% of players have achieved.
Most people don't go after them at all. Is what that sounds like. They don't have any tangible benefit. Even if you get all 100.
No, it's literally just to force you to explore the world is really the only benefit. And
What's
if you care
interesting
about trophies / achievements.
Yeah, trophies achievement. They what's becoming interesting about the mugs in particular and other pickups as a whole is that they start to become traps.
Yes.
There's a thermos in chapter 4, and when you're traveling to the farm, that it's just sort of blocked by a tractor in the field. You walk up to the tractor, then you're ambushed, and like there's no ammo, there's no pickups or anything. It's just a thermos. So that thermos is there to bait you.
Oh, interesting. I did not get attacked on that one. Where I had a separate, I must have taken a different path to it. Where I did get jumped was again on the way to the farm. The poltergeist items before you even have a flashlight. There's like one just hanging out at the top of the stairs.
Yep. Right next to the thermos. Yep.
Those barrels wake up.
Yeah, the barrels. That definitely that got me.
And then there's a manuscript in the tunnel, and if you don't activate the lights before you go in the tunnel, it becomes a hellhole with like 6 poltergeist items in there. In chapter 3, what's your guys' thoughts about Agent Nightingale?
The unhinged FBI agent.
Yep.
We have yet to get the full picture, but we're getting enough of the puzzle pieces to guess.
I like the consequences of people seeing the manuscripts and being like, and they're acting crazy because they read the manuscripts going, you're writing this is happening, I'm going to stop you before it becomes any worse.
Because he wrote it, did he not cause it himself?
Oh, I don't want to think like that. Oh no.
Causation is that writing causes events. Not that reading causes him to react. What got Agent Nightingale there? Was he there before he was written into the story? Or was he written into the story and then he's there?
Well, so the owner of the trailer park, it was implied that he called the cops, right?
Yes.
That's what I took away in this one.
Yes.
Oh, when I say there, I mean there in Bright Falls.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought you meant this particular instance.
As a typical, stereotypical story narrative, then you have the unhinged FBI agent going after the hero of the story. That makes sense, Pete. Yeah.
Because as we find out, and we can talk about this in sequence, I suppose. In chapter 3, you don't really know much of anything, and your goal is just to get to the top. Well, get to wherever the kidnapper wants you to be. You finally get there, and you find out the kidnapper doesn't know anything. The kidnapper's been a pawn, and then he gets swallowed up by the Dark Presence tornado, and you get thrown into the lake, right? That's chapter 3 in a nutshell.
That's the end. That's the end of the chapter. But
The beginning of the chapter is Rose being a possessed person who drugs you, and then FBI agent showing up and you running away.
You run away, you go to the mines, you take a rest there.
Oh
The
man, we gotta
mines-
talk about the mine.
Yeah. Did you guys find the special path to the lake?
I think
Down
you
in
The
the
have
lake
water.
and the mine. You don't have to, I don't think. There's lake is over here, and then there's the way that you have to go, which is over there.
But interesting. I feel it's odd that we all four got lucky, right? On a 50-50 shot. I feel
Well,
like
it said tunnels go to Cauldron Lake, and you're like, oh, I want to go down there. That was my thought process. Like, oh, I'm going to that lake.
I didn't have a thought process. I just went a direction. And I almost think it's like blocked off. I guess I don't know.
It wasn't.
I don't think
You go down it, and it tells you turn around multiple times. Like 3 times it tells you turn around. This is
Your wife.
dangerous.
Your wife is screaming.
Wife is screaming first, then the old lady and the what
You mean the lady of light or whatever?
Lady of Darkness.
Barbara Jagger.
Oh,
Barbara Jagger, yes. Thank you. I got the moves like Jagger, yes. And then from there you have like a mind spasm where you reach the portion of the lake that actually connects to the tunnel. And then there's a manuscript right there.
yeah,
Very-
for some.
Go on.
Oh, I was gonna say for some reason I just find it odd that we all went down that same path.
If you ever were recording
if
it.
we're looking, if we're looking for thermoses, I mean, look, there could be a thermos down there.
Yeah,
We're
it's
looking
all of
for
us
manuscripts.
who go the wrong way
There
first.
was a manuscript down there.
Right. Well,
So
I think that was my rationale, but
That tunnel down there, it was like very fatal frame. Very excited. It didn't manifest, but if you go down there, ancient cave, digging deep, getting hallucinations. You go
Down
to
to
a point that it's down to the depth. There's a part that's blocked off, and then there's nothing but water. And later on, they talk about how when there's a volcanic eruption, that the mines flooded, killing a lot of people.
33
And
people.
so, like,
Yep.
And so, like, that is the point where you go down there, and there's the cutscene of the angry spirits coming after you. I'm just like, this is where this would happen if this was a Fatal Frame game. It wasn't, so he just had a hallucination.
so where was the implication of, or not implication if you had a number, but where was the 33 people died? I don't remember that.
1 second.
So
Might have been on one of the boards.
it was
when
on
you're-
the,
Boards.
yep, it was on the board on the way to the mine building where they talk about the major disaster of
This
the
one.
The volcanic eruption.
On the
That's the
outside
one.
of the coal mine.
Yep.
Let me. I have
And
to
how-
remember it.
That's
the spot,
became
that's
a-
the spot where it is in the video. I don't.
Yeah, right in front of where you are.
Yeah,
in the
okay,
video.
Yeah, on the side, I guess.
Yep. Right near the door of where you gotta go.
That's further up.
Right there.
On.
Oh, 32. Oh. So the frame by frame advance in this player doesn't work very well, at least for rewinding. Oh, there we go. 32. Okay, I just didn't remember, so I did run
The
into it.
calamity.
So I guess even
That's a very
before
fatal
that-
frame phrase as well.
I know.
The calamity.
See, I've never played any of those games, so
Dude, if you ever have time to watch, you can just watch the videos. I played
Yeah,
I
Pete
played it.
played 1 and 2. Two, I would say, is peak. One's interesting but frustrating. Still got good stuff in there though.
Just skip through the parts where I don't know what the hell to do.
Is one the one where kind of the gameplay mechanic is wait until the last possible second and snap the shot?
Yeah.
2.
Oh, wait.
Oh, that's 2.
One's the one you have to charge it.
You have to charge it, which is usually wait until the last possible second.
Yeah. Well,
you're screwed. Ugh.
So
hard.
our entry into this was Nightingale. I guess I feel like I still don't have. He's one of the bigger mysteries to me still, because all of the manuscript pages you find talk about him being like,
crazy,
smelling of alcohol and kind of having this. I'll choose the word vendetta. I don't think that word was used, but that's kind of like what comes to mind, right? He's kind of him having this vendetta, and he's like obsessed with finding Wake, somewhat like the remember the fugitive.
Exactly. Yes.
He's just like obsessed with, he's this law enforcement guy who's obsessed with finding him, but it's not even clear to me like why he's there, and maybe that's why it feels like he's a mystery. Like, was he called in as backup, or did he like come of his own volition, or for some other reason? Unless
clearly clearly nobody who's there really wants him there. In terms of the law enforcement.
Well, half of the manuscripts that you read is him realizing the manuscripts have power, and the proof of the fact that Alan is writing the history or writing the future. And so it's like Nightingale is aware of the power, but he was also like randomly summoned, probably because of Alan also.
Who knows? Maybe he's not a member of the FBI. Maybe he's a member of the FBC. That's a Control reference. Which is a game that they made 10 years after this game. Well,
did you play Control?
No, but John played Control, and I watched him play Control on his stream. That game is intriguing.
So, the other thing kind of about the trailer park is when you first show up, as you're walking, Barry tells you about the research that he did, right? And so there's Thomas Zane, who ends up coming up, and that's when you first find out that the lady in black's name is Barbara Jagger. Now, in chapter 4, the Anderson brothers call her, Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga, the Vitch.
Yes. And
do you remember the name of the cabin on Diver's Isle?
Yeah, like Bird Leg Cabin or something like that. Like, so it's definitely a reference to that, and I didn't pick it up until they threw it out there, and I was like, "Oh, that's the inspiration, right?" Is in fact, if I had my in our pre-stream banter, I was intending to bring up pictures at an exhibition. There's the one. There's the one that's the
hut on Fowl's leg.
The hut on Fowl's leg. Yep.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And interestingly, so because on Maria's playthrough, she was still early in chapter 1, I was like, if we go into DLC at the end of this, which we haven't talked about it or made the decision, but I started projecting it says, if we choose to do DLC, I have a lot of catching up to do because I don't have it on the 360.
Ooh. And you can't get it.
Maybe. That's a different discussion. We can have that discussion another time. I may be able to. But each one is $7.
Oh, God. Whereas you already have it on the other version.
Correct. So that is actually one of multiple reasons that I wish I was playing the remaster. But it is what it is. like there's the frame rate. A lot of the other stuff is just like visual stuff, right?
It's apparently it's not that big of a change between the original and the remaster. It just looks a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
I'm playing the remaster.
Yeah, but it's 60 frames per second as opposed to 30, and it gets rid of the screen tearing. So both.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same game though. You know what I mean? There's not like a huge change. Yeah.
In fact, I don't know this for sure to be true, but I believe the underlying engine is actually the same. I think it's just a reskin,
Well,
which makes sense because it's a remaster, not a remake. Which I think, strictly speaking, that is.
Oh, is Maria arriving?
No, no.
Because I will take Alan away.
I hear kids. It's the opposite problem.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, so Barbara Jagger / Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
That was interesting. And
right?
Then,
Baba Yaga, Barbara Jagger. Barbara Yaga.
Yeah. So the other aspect is, so having gone back to, chapter 1, trying to catch up, when you first show up on the lake, if you go up to the top, you can look down on it, and the island is clearly shaped like a bird's foot.
That's why they would call that.
Which you also see at the end of chapter 4 during the drunken flashback. You can also see it there.
The vision.
Yeah, so like Bird Leg Cabin, Baba Yaga, and then the other is, then there's the whole Thomas Zane thing. So this is the first intro to Thomas Zane. This is also another thing I noticed in the replay. There's a shoebox on the first floor of the Bird Leg Cabin. That's Thomas Zane's book. And it says, oh, Thomas Zane, never heard of the guy. And if you recall, in the first nightmare before that, when you're going, remember how you get cornered into the lighthouse or cabin? Not the lighthouse. There's like a cabin where the guy's covering for you outside, and you have to wait until like you're almost dead and the light shows up. So what becomes the light is a poster of a play involving Thomas Zane and Barbara Jagger. So it's actually, once you like know these characters and what's going on, they're throwing it out there right at the beginning. And like the fact that it's that poster of the play starring Thomas Zane, and then you suddenly hear the voice, which you later find out is Thomas Zane's. It's funny because I played the chapter 1 again, or the first part of chapter 1, between 3 and 4. And having learned what I learned in chapter 3, I started piecing it together, and then they reveal it to you in chapter 4. It's like, interesting. So it was all there right at the beginning.
If it's not a total misdirection.
Sure.
Because we don't know that.
I think,
yeah.
See, it'll be interesting to see, because I am now getting very Death Note vibes from now. Once in chapter 4, they reveal that Alan foresaw this and started writing an escape into the book. I started getting Death Note vibes. Kind of like that. How far ahead could he think under the pressure, and how effectively could he predict what would happen to write his out?
Exactly.
I think that's going to be the tension going forward. We'll see.
And will it work?
And will it work? Right. But
who is he saving?
Is he saving himself or his wife, or is he saving both of them? Barry's
in the mix now.
His
best friend.
Another perfect example.
Go. What about the fate of the cardboard cutout?
Oh,
you have to know. Is that written?
I love that bit. By the way, I don't think you didn't see it on your stream, but if you can actually see Barry running after you get separated, and he's carrying the cardboard cutout.
Jesus. All right. Worry about your own life, Barry. I like you, Barry. Don't die on me because of a cardboard cutout.
No. He's carrying that cardboard cutout so that he can hide behind it and mock you.
Oh, look at me. I'm Alan Wake.
I'm such a good-looking author. All the women want to be with me.
I'm even more sexy when I'm more broody.
I see what you did there. That was great.
The other interesting thing, sorry, I'm just circling back.
I did all of this. What you're doing here, running down every side thing, and nothing. There was nothing.
The guy kept giving me grief, and I'm like, dude, there could be manuscript pages. You could just shut up and wait.
I was like, where's my thermostats? Where's my coffee? Please just be quiet. And then there was one. And then there was one. I'm like, told you, you old man.
Okay, fine. There was one, but there was nothing down most of them.
There's one thermos and that's it. But what was interesting about the whole Barry thing is he's kind of catching you up on if you didn't search out some of the manuscripts and signs and other things that talk about like Cauldron Lake erupting, volcano erupting and stuff like that. He blurts it out to you there, right? So if you've done the investigating that we've all done, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I knew that. But if you didn't, that would actually be the first, right? It's just reinforcement. But if you didn't, that would actually be the first time you've like found out, like, oh,
very important
diver. Yeah,
there's gotta
his that guy, the park owner that's walking. Does his lake like clink for you also?
Yeah.
Audio, I don't believe so, but
really?
Oh,
didn't it make
forgot
it
about this. It might.
Yeah, the boat that was just suddenly there came out of nowhere. There you go. But I mean, that was not off the beaten path.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I
felt totally betrayed. But I mean, you kind of have to go everywhere just to see.
Or did you guys check out the hot dog menu on that trailer
so
park?
Cheap.
I
so cheap.
I did not know.
But are those actually prices?
I want to know. I want to know what's in that belly burster, because it is like the price of 10 hot dogs with WG. Also, rabbit food.
Yes. Granny Claus.
Clam chowder. As Guardian chicken parmesan. You just
is this all the hot dog stand? Yeah. Okay.
As Guardian chicken parmesan.
Zany chicken fried steak. I just noticed that now.
Zany. Yeah. Trailer trash dog.
So and then here's the first indication you have of the importance of Cynthia now, right?
Yeah.
Well, yep.
This is all this was written by Cynthia, and then at the end of chapter 4, it's like you listen to the record, and it's like go see the Lady of the Light or whatever. And I'm like, that's got to be
Cynthia. Mad with the Night. It's definitely Cynthia. Plus, in chapter 3, when you're climbing the peak, you get in that ruined house, and then you see all of the scrawlings on the wall.
Tom.
With the CW plus TZ in a heart. Do you remember that?
Curse you, Thomas Zane.
Oh, CW? No, I didn't see that. Because if you...
Dude, go there in your recording. I know you got it.
Where is
you might then? Not... near the end of chapter 3. Probably about 10 minutes back from the end.
Before that, though, when you're settling in...
there she is.
That's her. You also see her at the police station, and she's also freaking out there at the beginning of chapter 2.
I don't know that I do it here. So there's the tree stump that has the... Here, I'm going to let it play for a bit because the seek is not granular enough. There's a stump on Diver's Isle that has like the heart. It's that one that the bird's on right now. I don't know if I'm going to look at it or not. That has a heart TZ plus BJ.
Well, that makes sense.
Right.
Barbara
so when
Jagger.
you said right, so when you said CW, I was like, what? Because I
Different heart.
remember.
Different
Yeah,
heart.
no, right, but that now introduces the possibility that. Yeah, see, I ran right by it. Oh, maybe I
There
go back.
there are also references to somebody called Emil.
That's Emil Hartman. Dr. Hartman.
Yes, not Dr. Hartman. EMIL. Yeah, that's it.
I just in my mind I just know him as a prick. I don't actually
Yep.
know his name.
No,
All right.
Don't trust Emil. Well, don't trust Emil.
Now, who kind of almost fell for the trick of being overly drugged and then be like,
oh, let's say, what is it?
There it
Trying to say.
B. So
That's
I
definitely a
didn't.
big.
I didn't click on it, but on the remaster, I like if you click on it,
Yeah.
it actually will zoom in on it, and you can clearly see that it's BJ.
So the opening of chapter 4 to answer Snooty's question. In the beginning, I was sort of just like, "Are we really doing this?" I was skeptical because there were so many loose ends that didn't point towards this. There was too much
It's
going
all in
on.
your head.
I was just like, maybe they are doing this, and I was just like, but I was like, where's the hard left turn off of this? And that's what I was.
It was worth a try.
Yeah. So I was gonna basically I was like, okay, go on. I'll play along with this. I want to see where it goes. But I wasn't convinced that, oh god, nice.
Is this what you were talking about? About the
yeah,
What are you talking about?
Picture.
Which one? Which are you talking about? The thing that Aaron posted, or where you are?
So Aaron posted. Oh, CW plus TZ. Interesting.
Remember this cabin? Or this house? It was like a mansion, a ruined mansion. Had multiple floors.
Yes. Yep. I do remember that. Across the ghost town. Is it after that? No, I totally fell off that bridge.
I fell in the same spot, and then I walked the exact same way the second time, and nothing happened. I was doing a leisurely jaunt, just walking around, and all of a sudden I fall through like that.
Oh, I feel like I'm missing a video here. Wait, one for the house. I didn't delete anything, but
it is definitely past where you are right now. I believe that you're in the graveyard at this point because I just saw that shadow move quickly.
Yeah.
Having watched Aaron's playthrough after doing my own, it's like doubly reinforced in my brain, unfortunately. There you are. Go back. This is it.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, you might not even have seen it. If you didn't stop and read everything. No, you didn't stop and read everything. There was all kinds of weird crap.
Yeah, but it's like I miss you, Tom, and I'll have to go like frame by frame because I curse you, Thomas A.
Oh yeah, no, this was just like this person's whacked out. And it's the person who has the yellow paint. I made this point to Aaron before you guys came on. Or maybe John was here. She's the one who's been leaving you stuff or who has been setting up these drops. There it was, that heart.
Yeah, you can't miss it when you first walk in. It's you literally can't miss it. It forces you to see it.
You talk to me on the TV.
That's an interesting.
What
did
the
you
hell?
write this?
Whoa.
So it's really interesting that you bring up the whole yellow paint thing because I never thought of that. But that's a great point that says who actually has the ability to.
I was
write
unable
this stuff.
when I got out
I
of
thought
this
it
room,
was Thomas Zane.
I got out of this room and I was like, there's probably multiple people running around with paint because this room is very schizophrenic. So either it's one person who's completely out of their mind or it's more than one person.
I'm thinking it's one person who's out of their mind.
It could very well be now. We already know that Cynthia's a little paranoid.
They made an off comment about her in town that she purposely prepped and placed lights and flashlights and extra supplies in random places all over the place just in case. The torch boxes are her.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed, well, that I mentioned to Aaron during his stream, was when you're near those torch boxes, do you hear...
A deep breathing sound.
It sounds like Darth
You mean
Vader.
you mean like the chests?
Yes.
Yep. The torch chest. Yep.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, Darth Vader's rebreather was based off of the sound of a diving mask. Of diving gear. So, for what that's worth.
Interesting.
There was a part in chapter 3 that I heard the breathing noise before I found the chest, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! This has probably always been there, but I've never connected."
I really screwed up my videos here. Sorry, I'm just.
And then there's a part, well, not to get ahead of ourselves, because we're mostly talking about chapter 3, early chapter 4 stuff. There's a part in chapter 4 where you explicitly come across a manuscript page being dropped for you. When you are headed towards the farm.
Do you physically see it, or do you
physically see
hear
him-
the light say?
You physically see the light drop the page for you.
Did
I
I
don't
miss
remember
that?
I don't think you guys were looking in the right spot when it was happening.
You're saying when you're on the
I
way
wish
to the
that
farm?
I wish I had a video. It's when you're running, there's traps.
So this is. I think this is the trap area. Maybe it's a little further ahead.
That is it. You were there.
Before the car?
Yeah, it's definitely before the car. It's definitely before you get to the cabin where Walter and his friend... I think the guy's name is Walter. There it is. I had seen... There it is.
Yeah.
Did you see what he wrote?
Oh,
but you're off to the side. You were off to the side. You didn't see him drop it.
Yep.
Oh, so it actually comes down.
He was there as like the diver was there dropping the page.
Interesting.
Oh man.
Yeah, look, I immediately take a left.
I had seen glimpses of the light before. I had seen it in my dream. It was a strange specimen in a diving suit. And you're like, I don't know why he's talking about this. It doesn't even make sense. Because
like,
you don't see any of it.
I literally go. But this points to the earlier discussion we had about everything being rendered in game. But not only that,
you can do whatever you want.
It's transient.
Yep.
So like, I was wondering why he talked about it, because you see the light. He talks about the light.
At that very one point, you see him drop a page for you because he talks about dropping the pages. Also, I believe the voice tells you that he's been figuring out the right moments to drop the pages so that you'll get them at the right time.
Yes.
I just watched my stream. I am dumbfounded by my silliness to overlook it, because I'm walking and then all of a sudden the light flashes in your eyes and you just don't see anything, and then I see the page falling from the sky. I'll make a clip out of it.
Cool. I think I made a comment when it happened too, but I don't think you understood what I was talking about.
No, apparently it's right next to the flares. I completely missed it. It's just before the traps.
Right before the cabin. Right before the car. TZ.
So I think the only other thing we didn't talk about in chapter 3 is The radio station. I think, right?
The
Like the whole
confrontation.
What? Right. Which I don't know that there's much to say other than
Daddy, it's February.
Maine after the incident, like the next day when you're driving around to the coal mine, if you stop and listen to the radio, you hear Pat Maine on the radio basically saying, "Hey, I know you're out there, and you know who I'm talking to," and he kind of like
He
goes, "Hey,
apologizes.
doing okay
I'm
or
sorry
whatever."
for mentioning
Yeah.
your name. And
My mouth
yeah.
probably got in trouble.
That
So
was a cool moment.
Thought,
The radio
I thought that was
station.
an interesting touch, but it also really doesn't make sense to say, "Oh, the compassionate viewpoint." It doesn't make sense because if you look at the timing, right? You walk in, and he says, "Oh, look at this! He finally showed up for the interview. I'm going to see if I can talk him into an interview." And then, within 30 seconds,
The jerk
FBI's
shows.
there. So either he can warp, or they were already onto him.
Or he knew where he was going.
They were practically right there already. They
Right,
were in
that's-
the forest, like right around the corner. They were right behind you, so I'm not surprised they immediately heard the radio and be like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." But it's all about the script. It's all about the content with the book and the pages.
I love the Judas Priest. That's like there's multiple like heavy metal references kind of littered throughout as you start getting into this chapter because of the Anderson brothers and whatnot, but just the random Judas Priest as a exclamation.
I really like how he keeps calling you different Arthurs. Nottingham, I meant.
All right, H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
All right, James Joyce.
I remember James Joyce. I do not remember, and I remember H.P. Lovecraft. But what was the Arthur one? What was the Arthur one?
I know that it.
Author,
no.
not Arthur.
He keeps calling them different Arthurs.
Author.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Agree, yeah.
Wait, let's fix this. Arthurs.
Hey, I'm not gonna. Authors. I'm not gonna criticize the way you pronounce author.
I'm good. I'm tracking now.
Adam just didn't understand you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took literal. I heard Arthur, and my mind
like
was not nimble.
Calling
enough to
him
make a
different
pivot.
Arthurs. I don't understand the concept.
What? Well, no, I thought it was like Arthur Rhodes, Arthur Cunningham.
Schopenhauer. Oh man.
So,
the end of chapter 3.
Yep. We don't have his wife. We don't know where she is. She's probably drowned. We just said we had her to make him, and then I actually cut it off because for once, I didn't listen to everything, and I went. Yeah, I got too close.
I want to run around and like case the joint, but then I hit the cutscene. I'm just like, I was not done.
What the flash of Barbara?
I love it. That's clearly who he was talking to. The dark presence.
Oh yes. Agree.
Flat.
I'm gonna go back a couple frames.
Hello.
So 1,
goodbye. Hello.
2, 3.
Goodbye.
So 3/30th of it. So she's there for about a tenth of a second. She's there for 3 frames on 30 FPS.
Ridiculous. I love how they do that.
Yes, no, but sort of.
But it's not so close to you that it's a jump scare. So
exactly.
I can't stand jump scares. That's the only thing that I actually like. Legitimately, am just like taken aback by a lot of time in horror.
This was pretty cool right here. How he's got the flare. And then
it goes out.
Well, you find out later that it stayed up for long enough, right? Because when you later find out at the beginning of chapter 4, did you listen to the recordings? Was it the recordings? There's something that explains to you who pulled him out of the lake and why.
It was a psychiatrist.
Emil.
Yes.
You know, we're not getting any sound from your video player, just so you know.
That's because I had the volume all the way down.
Now we.
No, it could have been. I actually interpreted it as one of his guys
on Alan Wake.
Yeah, it could have been his gorilla.
Yeah, I think so because where was it? I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. But did you listen to the? Did you stick around and listen to these guys?
Absolutely, all of the patients.
I love these guys.
Yeah, there's the
Also,
Baba Yaga right there. The
they
damn
call him
witch.
Tom.
He's referring. Yeah, they're referring to you as Tom multiple times.
Also,
yes,
elbow pads on the jacket. That's not very rock and roll.
yes,
It's okay.
Just medicine clears your head right up. Makes you remember like moonbeams on the brain. Oh, I just noticed leather patches on the elbows. That's not very rock and roll. Tom just lost is all. Baba Yaga got to him too, the damn witch.
Yeah, Tom. It actually made me wonder if they're gonna kind of take like a left-hand turn somewhere, and what these guys are saying is actually somewhat reflecting of there's a closer tie between Alan and Tom than just right kind of people who have been
Similar
productive
affects.
been productive artists under the influence of the dark presence, right? I mean, because at least as to where we're at, that seems to be their kind of common tie, if you will.
Well, yeah. We don't know yet, but I definitely had thought so. Tom Zane is a writer. Tom Zane could affect reality with his writing. Did Thomas Zane affect Alan Wake coming here?
But remember, with Thomas Zane's, yes, that's a possibility. But if we go back to the trailer park and what Barry was saying, now some
of the articles I found about him make him out to be a famous writer, but I ran a bunch of searches, couldn't find a single thing he wrote.
Couldn't find a single thing he wrote. So it makes you wonder if he actually didn't exist in the real world and only somehow existed in like the.
Or he wrote himself out of the real world.
There you go. That's an even better possibility.
But clearly, the Anderson brothers knew him,
and they're also onto whatever I'll call it the underlying truth are, right? Like
there are references to in the manuscript about Thomas Zane talking to Emil, and the hourglass, the sundial, makes a reference to Thomas Zane having been there and is no longer with us.
Yeah, I translated. I got that Latin translated.
Oh, yeah. If you go back to the beginning of the chapter, there's that big sundial.
Right before, yeah, right there.
So yeah.
In memory of a dear friend and poet, implying that he's dead.
Yes,
and he was a poet.
He was a poet. So and TZ.
Right.
So there are the thing like between the manuscripts and what people are saying, and then things you are running into in town, because the authenticity of all these sources are not 100%, particularly because you keep running into things that are weird and inexplicable. Like trying to find cross-reference points are important. So Thomas Zane, a writer, was here at some point and was memorialized as somebody who's no longer here.
Assumedly long before Emil Hartman was here. Because this was like, what, 40, 30 years ago? Yeah,
Yeah.
60, 70.
Yeah.
Notice, in tenebras cadere, which means to fall into darkness.
Okay, I was gonna say I know 10
Or shadow.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say like Tenebras. I was familiar with as being
Related to darkness and shadow.
relating to darkness. Correct.
Yep. But that apparently means to fall into darkness or to fall into shadow. Which, that's interesting too, on a sundial that's dedicated to Tom Zane, who's no longer there.
Particularly also a big centerpiece of a outside area of a mental institute.
Yep.
Lots of interesting little threads they throw out there in chapter 4.
So this is a question for people who are playing the original one. The guy in the lobby who's freaking out, he's a video game producer, like, or coder, right? I'm just making sure they didn't add that.
You passed them.
I
When you-
passed him.
Yeah, when you go outside, you go into the main
He's
lobby.
scary.
Yeah, I didn't interpret him as a video game developer. I mean, he may be.
Oh, he is, and it's explicit. At least in the version that I played.
Wonderful stuff. Pretty damn wonderful, yeah.
That guy.
Emerson.
I'm a real bad dream, mister. You should be afraid of me. Don't want to run into me in the night, that's for sure.
Is this when he says he's a game developer?
Confused enough as it is.
Yeah, you'd like me to go away soon.
I think it's after the.
You can't just decide what kind of dream you have or when you have
Did you get the?
Okay. Sorry. Ew.
Did you get the coffee here?
On the balcony on the top, yeah.
Oh, this is about Dr. Hartman's book.
Creative flow.
Come, Alan. This way.
Did you go outside and talk to the painter?
I did, but I may have. If you look here, when I'm coming back, it sounds like. He's still talking.
Oh, you guys
so
might have missed his gibbering.
I must have missed the end of that discussion when he reveals that he's a game developer, because I did not.
Later on, I know Aaron heard part of it where he makes reference to different things that were Max Payne references.
To the toaster. Don't say it all. Numbers came back.
Well, I have a question for you.
Mullet
do you
time.
see any- in your game, when you're playing on 360, do you see any QR codes?
So the QR codes that Aaron saw are different than the QR codes in the remake or in the remaster.
Really?
The QR codes in the remaster have things that hint towards the second game, apparently. Because I watched one of them and was like, what the hell is going on?
QR codes weren't a big thing in 2010, were they? This game came out in 2010.
Yeah. The PC version has QR codes that we're scanning and looking at.
Did you go up to the second floor?
I did.
It was on the wall. Like right below the painting. There it is.
Yep, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I did not. I did not scan that.
You didn't even
Are you sure?
stop.
I didn't even stop. That's not a QR code. It looks like
What the hell is that?
looks like an Othello board or something. Not quite, but
That's not a QR code.
it's not a QR code.
Right where that is where the QR code is.
There's been one in the 3 so far.
Where else would there have been one?
The prologue had one. And there was
Prologue?
one in Alan Wake's room when there was a flashback to his
The New York City apartment.
apartment.
Really? I don't.
Mhm.
I don't remember that.
I'm inclined to believe it is not there. We're about to find out.
Yeah,
Right
it's
there.
another one of those boards.
Interesting. What the hell? Did
Well,
they
just
place
like-
those boards into the location thinking we're going to put a QR code there someday? Or did they not put a QR code in the Xbox version, but they put it into the PC version? What?
I don't know, but I'm going to make a meta comment here. Remember, this is the days before patching was like a big thing. Right?
Yeah.
Like once the game was on the disc, like even the PC version now can be patched and updated, and it's all digital distribution. I actually have the disc, so it's whatever was printed on original release. And I don't remember it downloading an update. I mean, there are update files that Xbox games could download.
There's Aaron's.
360
Never mind.
games. Is that the same? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a retrofit. Because you saw what was on my screen in the lodge.
Oh.
Unknown. What's hashtag unknown?
Just wait a second.
Oh, like what?
He put a the unknown. It's a link to the other Discord thing. He's getting the proper picture, which is that.
There it is. That's what it led to.
So that the
Painful.
QR code on the wall.
It's Sam
Yeah.
Lake. He's the face of Max Payne. He's also part of Remedy. Is he the president of Remedy?
I think he's the writer.
There you go.
Like I think he's the one who basically wrote the story of the game.
I thought Alan Wake was the writer.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Oh, you gotta turn this up, man.
But he has no clue. He's not crazy enough. Not crazy like us, Sonny. Yeah! Being crazy is a requirement, Sonny.
While QR codes were not present in the Xbox 360 edition of the original game,
There you
Remy Entertainment added them the PC version as Easter eggs.
Ah, that's the sanest thing I heard in a while.
Yes, I love that line.
All right, Tom. Hey, we like
You're all right, Tom.
He's got to go to the farm. The Anderson farm. Valhalla.
Which is funny because when you get there, you see the sign that says Valhalla.
Yep.
You wrote it all down, lest we forget. A crash course. All you need to know to get your head right. You need to find the message. Here, Sonny, here's something for you. Gave me a rash, but I kept it safe from these bastards.
Those guys are the best.
It was clearing up, or according to Hartman, I was sinking back into the fantasy. I was convinced he was lying to me.
I love the
about
line about
everything. Crazy or not, the Andersons made more sense.
Tom, got any food?
Crazy or not, they made more sense. So I don't know.
Oh wow!
What
I
else
mean,
was the- Oh, the product placement. That's another question. Do you have Verizon Wireless?
Yep, I got a Verizon commercial there too.
I did not.
Check out VCast apps and load up your phone.
Then it goes to like some F1 nonsense.
I think it started as F1.
Oh, it's the other way around then. Yeah, there it is.
Did
See,
you
when
not
you-
look
when
at
you-
this TV?
I did, but I did not get a Verizon Wireless.
What did you get? What did you
2000. I can't remember.
All right, it was not a Verizon commercial with F1.
That is jarring. I would have remembered that. A Verizon Wireless VCast Oh my god. 2010.
Are you still playing? Are you playing the remaster too?
Yeah.
Are you both playing the same version?
I may be playing just the Alan Wake PC release.
And I am playing the
Oh.
But
PlayStation
mine, yeah,
remaster.
but mine has the QR codes on it. That are the
The
same
new ones
that,
or the old ones? The Sam Lake one?
the same ones that Nudie posts.
Which is different than what I'm playing the remaster.
Okay.
Which is different. I can dig those QR codes up from the remaster, which are like videos. They're YouTube videos.
Did you know one? Yeah. He dug it up.
Interesting.
Huh.
Now I
think I prefer the Max Payne reference. Constipation. That looks painful.
I loved it. I laughed so hard from reading that. And then I missed the part that he was a developer. That was funny.
And he's the face of Max Payne. I believe, right?
You mean Emerson?
Yep. Yeah, that was the days where they still just had like a flat polygon and then they just put a face texture on you.
And there he is.
That was the face that was on a Max Payne 1.
And Max Payne was the game. I mean, The Matrix was the movie that dealt with bullet time, but Max Payne was like the game that dealt with bullet time, right?
And it also put Remedy on the map. Like that was their first.
And you got that crazy software developer raving about how, the corporate overlords want you to do things, and then putting mullet time into the game.
Now, when they mentioned mullet time,
I did not.
I made the joke about, like, you know what? This is the next Bayonetta game.
Yeah.
Where they're going to replace Witch Time with mullet time.
I'd play that.
Well, so the first Max Payne, I want to say, was original Xbox era. So we're talking mid 2000s.
Yep. I think so.
Was the vintage of the original, which I think was pre-Bayo, because Bayo was more like...
But not pre-DMC.
Not pre-DMC, no, definitely not. But that didn't have bullet time. But either way, the Matrix was first.
That's true.
So this manuscript was interesting, right? Because it kind of gives you some insight into Hartman and what he's all about.
Leech.
Basically.
Hartman's a leech.
Like, which is funny because, remember, Barbara Jagger is his editor. And she's maintaining control, and it's turning more into a horror story, right? Like, the two of them actually have a very similar objective or MO, or I don't know exactly the right. Like I definitely see kind of like a correlation between the one human bad guy trying to force the artists to do things and the dark presence who is trying to increase their power, right? Because I think later in episode 4, Alan talks about how she's trying to write in a way that makes her more powerful or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think that there's a reference somewhere in one of the manuscript pages that I got that the Dark Presence was released, or was like Thomas Zane had done whatever he did to put him and Jagger below the waves, right? In 1970, whenever that eruption was, and the island sunk. But the Anderson brothers, in being crazy rockers near the water, did something to release the Dark Presence. There's a manuscript page that had dealt with that, I think.
I don't remember.
Oh, is this your?
It was also
your experience with the ball.
I freaking hate that ball. The brothers also mentioned that, hey, it wasn't him that opened the door, but he doesn't have to throw the door wide open.
Oh, you got hit by the ball too.
I did, but
Falls danger.
The game does a damage scaling thing, though, right? Like if you don't get hit head on, you won't take as much damage. I'm pretty sure. Like it's not like a fixed amount of damage, binary like hit or no hit. I think if you take a glancing blow, it does.
Yeah, if you
less.
get slammed, it's gonna hurt you worse.
Right.
Oh, look at that!
Oh no!
Nice. I did not get that one.
What was the oh no?
Thermos you
He
picked
missed
up.
that thermos.
Oh,
I mean, I'm alright with not picking up a thermos. I ain't going back.
well, I need to go back and do the remaster anyway, so I'm just gonna follow a guide when I do the remaster. Since
Got to get those chivos.
Yep, got to get the achievements.
I
No,
was
it's one of the
gonna-
manuscript pages.
I was kind of spoiled, but like in the very beginning, just when they're about to go on the lake in like chapter 1 or in the prologue, right? You're where they parked the car on top of the cliff and then they went all the way down to the bridge. You're supposed to turn around and go back up to the cliff because there's a mug up there also.
You're kidding me.
No, this game is very good at being like, hey, there's some, obvious spots, and then from there, there's be like, hey, go suffer and run up the hill now. Again.
Now, what's funny about that is, so remember I mentioned to you at Bird Lake Cabin?
Yeah.
You can only see that when you go up to get that thermos, which I only did on the remaster. I did not do that on this playthrough.
Interesting.
Because like I said on the remaster, I'm like, I'll just use the guide. Oh, there was one spot here that I kept getting killed too. When you here.
Oh,
with
the birds?
The birds, dude. The birds. Yeah.
Flame, you're evil. You're so evil.
Why? What happened?
I lived, but man, they were annoying during this fight.
My strategy on this was not to fight him where you're fighting him.
Hills in the morning, and it'd be nice to calm all day. You got 3 pills in the evening.
Oh,
like a baby.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So that I ended up doing that fight like 3 times. Like I kept.
I ran it back to right where you are right now. To do everything. It's a lot easier.
Stop coming at you.
No.
There's a flare.
They're easier to funnel.
Well, I'll say this. I didn't really have a flare here at this point, but I have actually just a gameplay question about the birds. How do you deal with them if you don't have a flare?
You just shine the light.
You got to take the hit.
One at a time.
You got to find them early enough.
You hear the flock.
Yep.
And that means they're attacked. Then you have to swing your camera, and you have to hit enough of them with your flashlight that it'll disperse. That they'll be discouraged.
Okay.
My game plan is I hear them, I pop the flare, I let them hit me, and then they all die because they're on top of a flare.
That's usually what I do too, but in this case, I didn't have any flares. Notice my inventory.
In this fight, you do not have any. You have to go into the gazebo, into emergency hatch in there to get the flare.
Gotcha.
Which sucks because I killed the guy, the birds were bothering me, and then I went to the gazebo, got the flare, and then my flashlight did the remaining 1 or 2 birds left to get rid of the birds.
This may be my favorite guy.
This is definitely one of the best.
I know it's because you're walking into it and you just get that it's the delivery. It's 150% the delivery.
Yes, the delivery. The 2 pills part.
There's the farmers on the farm though.
Oh,
they're high quality.
They've all been good.
There's 65 million cows and pigs around the world. Oh.
Yeah, man. They've all been really good. Fishing license to go fishing.
Keep your pets on a leash.
Yeah, now, I don't know if you know at this point, but it becomes obvious pretty while you're still in the clinic that Mott is actually one of Hartman's guys.
Oh yeah, that
absolutely.
Yeah, there's also a manuscript where Hartman's just like, Mott, you fucked up with this whole 2 days thing.
there's the picture of Mott and Hartman standing next to each
There's
other
that too, yeah.
on the wall. It's like, huh, I know that guy. That's the kidnapper. Alan said.
Right, and Hartman was mad at Mott for the 2-day thing, right? Because putting too much pressure on him.
It also gave him too much time.
Oh, too much time. Gosh, not enough pressure. Now the is that Emil made me do it. The other thing about Hartman, so just is just one of these odd like coincidences. So, in parallel with this, I am reading The Hobbit with my kids, so I'm like reading it out loud to them. And just recently, in one of the chapters we were in, they were talking about a deer, but they used the old-fashioned word hart, H-A-R-T. Deerfest Hartman. I wonder if there's any significance to that.
Potentially.
Yeah, but again, it's just one of those things where it's like I just happened to be reading The Hobbit, and it made me think like, wait, hart, deer. But it was one of those things because I had never even heard of hart as deer before Vagrant Story. Remember when you first meet Sydney and he talks about, he's the hunter and you're the hart and he gives chase or whatever. Yes. I didn't even know a hart was
I knew exactly
before that.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Yeah. So anyway, Hartman, that's another kind of interesting thing, and we'll see, right? But this whole Deer Fest is when all this stuff is going crazy, right? I don't know. Do deer like typically have any like connotation?
What does that mean?
Along those lines? Just like, do deer like signify anything typically? I
Nature.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the deities in Princess Mononoke were deer-ish.
Here, I'll do a quick internet search. Deer symbolism. Deer symbolize grace, gentleness, and a connection to the spiritual realm across various cultures. Okay. That doesn't seem to fit Hartman.
Grace.
That may be.
Elegant.
I was going to say, the only thing maybe is connection to the spiritual realm, right? Like, so clearly there's kind of like these, I'll say, merging of, whatever's going on in Bright Falls with the dark presence, right? Like, there seems to be kind of there's the real world, and then there's the people who, like the Andersons and like Alan, who have gained access, so to speak, to the under
the power of the lake. The creatives.
That's the secret ingredient in their booze, right? It's water from Cauldron Lake.
Water, Cauldron Lake.
Something about Cauldron Lake gives creatives the ability to make their dreams come true.
But also
to turn their creations real.
It does it as they gain access to the darkness.
Now that I'm not sure. Well, yes, the darkness is there, but I don't know if the darkness is the reason that they have the power.
I think it's interpretive, but that's definitely where I jumped.
Yes, I mean it is implied that the darkness and the power source are one and the same, but it has not been confirmed, because it could be that the darkness is after the power source just as much as everyone else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where the darkness is trapped. Well, I mean,
Yeah, or it could be that the power source is the darkness, but the darkness is trapped in Cauldron Lake. And there is I think it's the end of chapter 1. There's some manuscript page about how the darkness was trapped alone and in pain, and Thomas Zane like soothed it, and then the the rockers like made it stir, and then when Alan Wake arrived, it opened its eyes. Like it has the ability to like sense like who's an actual creative and then who's just a loser who is actually going to write a book but never do.
Well, it's funny because even here in this manuscript, Wake was easily the most promising subject he had had since Tom.
Yep, another
So,
direct
Also,
connection.
how the
Once
hell
again,
old
there-
is Hartman?
That's actually interesting question.
What is he, in his 70s? Because he would have been in his 20s in 1970 when the cabin sunk. You know,
Well,
no,
that's
40 years
assuming-
earlier.
This is assuming this is set in 2010-ish when the game came out.
I think that's when it's set.
Alan Wake's cell phone is the determinant of what the time period is.
I'm pretty sure it's set around when the
Love
game
that.
came out.
I love that sequence, that one specifically, because there's one line that the guy says. Up until that point, all of the TV, it's just the dude in the real like Alan Wake is just sort of doing weird shit.
I'm trapped in this cabin. Have been for days, but it's always dark outside. My
He's like
anger is
staring
real.
at the TV.
I saw her.
Hang on.
He's not human. It's not human. A dark presence is wearing the old woman's face. She was covered in clinging shadows. There's a hole in her chest where her heart should be. I think I've made a horrible mistake. I don't think I'm any closer to saving Alice. It's been lying to me, using me to get the story it wants, and the story will come true.
What specific part? Just how he's looking at the.
No.
There's a hole in her chest where her heart should be.
The audio was unsynced for you, but for me,
It was close.
and then it was close. Yeah, for me and for Snooty, when the narrator said there was a hole in her chest where her heart should be, he said it. Pitch perfect.
Whereas, I mean, the rest of it, he's just sitting there with his mouth like this.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah. Oh wait, like all the time he's like the lunatic is doing whatever he wants to do in the TV. And which is just the weak that of Alan Wake trying to write, but
Yeah, no, I have noticed that the TV scenes on the Xbox are definitely not well synchronized.
yeah, that's unfortunate because that. Well, in any case, he still talked. He still had the mouth movement, so there's that.
Oh, this is the hammer.
Yeah.
The backstage is all yours. Seize your destiny. You know, what I was looking for in here is
And next to Hartman, he was the kidnapper. Hartman had been playing me all along.
That's right when you get to the recording of his wife.
right.
It's his name on one.
As soon as I heard the recording, I'm like, that's how they had her voice, and then Alan puts it together.
I couldn't breathe right. Hartman wasn't happy. Maud could.
It was this was an interesting like meta turn for me because as soon as Alan Wake picks up the phone and then there's a scratchy radio sounding Alan Wake, I'm your wife, come find me. I'm just like, oh, she's fucked. Because in horror games,
There's Silent Hill for you.
Exactly, that's where my brain went. And then later on, you're just like, oh, wait a minute, that's the same recording. I've been had by meta.
Nice.
I got bamboozled by my own fandom.
There's also been a couple. This is a good reminder. There've been a couple implications of, I don't want to say doppelgangers, but like people not really being themselves, right? Like this is one of multiple. Although maybe I'm thinking of the same. Maybe I'm thinking of the same recording because this is one of the things that plays on the cell phone in chapter 3 when they call you with Alice's voice.
This is what I was talking about, that Alice's voice comes through on the phone. You get a call from it. It's just like, Alan, where are you? I can't. And then I'm just like, oh, no. what that is, and that's what he'll say right here.
No. I've tried, but he's not listening. He's too deep in his own problems, always going on about something else. I'm so afraid I'm gonna lose him, and we're not even talking anymore. He doesn't let me in anymore. He just keeps me in the dark. I'm so alone here, even when he's home. Please help me, Doctor.
It's not here, but there's one thing, kind of while you're coming out of the clinic that I guess I keep remembering this, like, vaguely, this idea of I don't know. It's an ephemeral thought. It's gone.
Goodbye, thought.
Yeah, goodbye. There was something else that. Oh, it was the pulling out of the lake. Like, somewhere, somehow, there was a discussion about, like, how they had a boat ready to go, and they saw his flare falling from the cliff, and so they caught up with him in the boat. Where was that? That's what I keep looking for here.
Manuscript
Was it?
page? Yeah, that does exist. I think it was after the reveal. So at some point in the future, when when this place is getting torn up.
Oh, also
Look at
the
the
way he
hedge maze.
handled Nightingale.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah.
Right, like he's very adept in dealing with intimidation. Right, I'll say it that way. Okay, yeah, no, because we had the discussion of who pulled him out of the lake before. I interpreted it was one of Hartman's guys.
Yeah, could have
'Cause
been Hartman's guys.
He even names him, but clearly it was them going after. That was their way of trying to get. Oh, Jack. This was it. This is what I was looking for. Because the flare floated and kept burning in the water. So that implied to me that Hartman himself was still on the lodge, right? Because it overlooks the lake.
Yep.
And that he sent his guy to pick up. This is what I was looking for.
Where was this manuscript?
Right in here, when the when you're escaping with Barry, like right after those.
So when you pick up the stack of manuscripts.
Oh, this is the shit-eating grin right after he shuts the door on Hartman to lead him to the darkness.
Yep.
Yes.
Hartman followed the
So
fall
what?
of Alan Wake.
Yeah. So this when you pick up your old manuscript pages, Alan Wake mentions, and there's more in there, and this is the more in there.
I did not read that one. Oops.
Wait, say that again? I'm not sure I tracked.
It's right here. Just scroll back like 20 seconds in the video.
No idea. Hartman, shut up. Alan, please. You're sliding back.
A little bit more.
Tell me one more lie and I'll shoot you in the face.
A little more.
Back.
Back. Here.
These were all the pages I had on me.
And more.
And more.
The and more is the page about him watching with the binoculars falling out, because that's a page you didn't have before.
Got it.
Alan, please. You're sliding back into the... Tell me one more.
Got it. So then you go to the farm. Anything else about the clinic?
Leon out.
The next moment that you were just at, tell me one more lie and I'll shoot you in the face. Yeah, it was worth a try.
Yeah, it did the mask falls off casually. Enjoy how the painter had James Sunderland's coat on.
Oh, a funny thing about this stand here, I kept not turning around. I just kept fighting, and actually,
it'll last forever. No,
yeah,
maybe not forever.
Well, if you watch what got me out of it, I actually get hit and like pushed back.
So I did not take this fight where you guys did. This is where Aaron took the fight too. I ran to the opposite end and fought over there, and I killed everything.
Like
This
I miss with the flare gun. I get pushed back,
Nice.
and it pushes
You
me.
get pushed out of the fight.
Yes, because I was all backed up against it.
Yeah.
Like
I
They
the door.
deprived you of the.
I stood
I'd
my
run
stand
down.
there at the top of the stairs, and two guys flanked me and killed me instantly.
Yeah, no. Well, I was about to die. The only reason I didn't is because the game pushed me out. So then there's the farm. We already talked about kind of the big, so there's the crash. We talked about the beginning where you don't have like any stuff and you just got to run. Oh, you are barking mad.
But maybe that.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the
But
craziest.
maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps.
He's embracing the Andersons viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. That is that's a very good point, Adam. Is that because he had mentioned, crazy you got to make sense, and this is him saying crazy makes sense.
Right, and again, this is part of a shift that he is making towards the, I'll say it, the more than just the skeptic view of the world, right? Because in chapter 2, I think when he sits down, he was always saying like, "Oh, I always thought of, this stuff is, kind of the supernatural stuff is like a way to manipulate people and." Right, like kind of coming from like a very skeptic viewpoint. And this is kind of like the second time where he's kind of like embracing this, like, hey, maybe there's more to the world than this. And maybe crazy isn't as crazy as I thought it was at one point. It seems to be something more than just once here. I'm trying to go back to the I think it's after this. Here we go.
He'd go through the arc. Now,
There we go.
Yeah, it was happening for real.
Supernatural had
Yeah.
always been nothing but a metaphor for the human psyche, a tool to use in writing fiction. Now, it was happening for real, and I couldn't put a single word on paper.
Right. So, there was that. And then here on the way to the farm, again, he's kind of acknowledging the supernatural and,
The crazier the world. Ooh.
Yeah.
So every time he tries to write afterwards, there's like a flash of light, which implies that Thomas Zane is preventing him from writing, which could make sense because if Alan Wake writes any more right now, he could alter things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly.
So earlier on, he had proper writer's block, but whenever he tries to write going forward, he's being prevented so that they do not cause any further alterations to the course, which means ultimately everything that we see right now is going as ordained.
As Thomas Zane said, he's dropping the pages right when he is on purpose.
Interesting.
It's already been written.
You're thinking, but he does. Alan implies at the end of this chapter, though, that he is actually writing. He actually wrote Zane to do that, right? Like
during the week, yes.
Yeah.
Alan implies that
he wrote Zane in to help him, to save him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the question of how many levels deep does the writing go? Did Thomas Zane write Alan Wake into the story in the 70s, and then Alan, knowing that he would cause Alan to write himself into the story? You know what I mean?
Right.
How meta is this?
That's a good question.
Even with the
We'll find out. We'll find out soon.
To write my escape into the story.
See, write my escape.
To bring a light into the cabin to release me before I could.
Right. So he's implying that he did all this.
Yes.
To get out of the cabin, get away from Jagger.
Darkness consumed everything
and
everyone. Zane was weak and far away.
but I had written him into the story.
So
And
he
his light
thinks.
was enough to set me free.
Yep. One of the
Yes, so
TV things, Alan Wake makes reference that in between writing, his own writing, he went and he found some of Thomas Zane's poetry in the cabin, and I think it was like the stuff that he says rings true. I'm going to incorporate it into my story.
I don't remember that one.
It's one of the real life Alan Wake TV insanity things.
Oh, you mean part of the media, the media universe they've created here, or is it actually in
No,
the
like
game?
you walk into a room, the TV goes on, and it's Alan Wake in the cabin. One of those
Okay.
monologues he makes.
Like in the police station, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For that
Oh, there is some. Yeah, so there is a bit of chicken and egg going on as to whether Alan Wake borrowed from Thomas Zane or Thomas Zane took Alan Wake.
Or if the old gods of Asgard just made the whole thing up.
No.
We need, yeah. Well, there's enough pieces on the table that we don't know until we get more.
I know. Because remember, the old gods of... Oh, go on.
No, go ahead. Old gods of Asgard.
Well, we're going to get there when we get to the farm. Let's wait till...
This is just foreshadowing the end of the chapter. And
Yes.
Nightingale catches them.
One thing I don't understand is why would they get drunk in the middle of the night?
You have to wait for the sun to come up because they can't leave.
They're in a safe spot with light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One of the things from watching Snooty's stream, the manuscript... Oh, look at this. This is them getting away.
Yes.
Yes.
Their eyes glinted with guile. They knew every secret path. And there
They
was
had
blood
fought
on their
these
hands.
but they had fought these shades before.
Oh,
Right,
definitely.
So they've lived the same life that
Alan
is
Wake's
now
going through
living.
now. Yes.
Yeah.
And they can.
They're probably still living it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Here's Danny. I think the manuscript page I missed was here.
Danny and Walter. Or whatever the guy's name was.
Yeah. Something I noticed during Snooty's playthrough again is that he has the same canister that the moonshine is in.
Oh, yeah.
This thing?
Yeah. When I came in here the first time, and I was just like, why do you have an oxygen tank with you? Whatever. Not paying attention. And then later on, Barry shows up with the same things, and I'm like, oh.
And if you had listened to the radio back in the trailer park, I believe that they had been... Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been stealing the Andersons' liquor.
Booze. Because at the funny farm, so they're not there to stop him.
Correct.
Well, not that funny farm. You get me.
Nah, that other farm ain't funny. It's awesome.
The fun farm, not the funny farm.
The fun.
Right, and he even writes. He's alluding here to this idea of writing his own escape into the story here too.
Yep.
And he had to write it to be a dramatic story.
Right, Zane's going to be the one who'll help me. I'll make it happen. Right. So again, if you don't watch the TV, they reinforce it at the end of the episode. Farm animals aren't pets. So you're saying you hear breathing around the chests?
Yeah.
Yep. So in that same building, in the basement.
There.
Pump it up. Yeah.
Yes, I do. That's a really good observation. I never noticed.
But it doesn't sound just like breathing. It sounds like breathing through a mask.
Agree. It sounds like a diver's mask.
Yep.
This is where they just imply all sorts of stuff's going on in town. It's not just...
Yeah. There's some references also. I think Barry, during that exposition, talks about how there's all sorts of like disappearances and strange events. And there is the boat showing up in the middle of the trailer park. So...
Yes. I don't think
The
there's
Jeep
much
is...
else on the way to the farm. You got the
The
big.
Jeep is very maneuverable.
I definitely took a hit there. Yes, the Jeep. So, and then.
Oh, before we get to this, Aaron read the page where it talked about Barry like putting his hand up and then everything exploded, and he was like, "Oh no! Oh Barry's going to die!
Barry's going to die! I pick everybody that explode as my avatars. No."
And then the explanation of it being this. So good. Here it is.
That thermos on the stand on the left.
Yep.
I didn't pick it up, and I triggered the cutscene, and then I spent about 3 deaths trying to run out to get it because it was bothering the hell out of me. Because I thought after this sequence that like chapter would be over. I thought it was gonna be a hard cut. This felt like such a big set piece. So then I finally gave up on it and did it properly. And thankfully I was able to get the thermos at the end of it.
I'm so glad you decided to go it alone, Mr. Bronson.
This was so good.
This wasn't enjoyable.
Oh, this is so good.
And the way that it sounds very much like Ozzy, the singing.
Yep.
Like the way that they do the voice effects, it just sounds very Ozzy to me.
70s rock. It was they didn't do the guttural throat crap until much later. So this is what rock was.
Flashbang, I love you.
Flashbangs, oh my god, the best part of chapters 3 and 4. The get out of jail free cards.
I keep getting picked off by those. But I definitely, I'm still getting hit in the light. I definitely enjoyed this sequence here.
It was so good.
Yeah, with the music going the whole time. Somehow
the music being totally on point too, with description of what's going on and
what the children of the elder gods.
No, assumedly, they talk about how they, unfortunately woke the dark presence. It's probably with this song.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
When they wrote it and first played it.
Interesting. It seems like a reasonable theory.
Yeah. Warriors, torchbearers, come redeem our dreams. Shine a light upon this night of otherworldly fiends. Odin's might be your guide. Divorce you from the sane. Hammer's way will have it say. Rise up in their name.
There was an implication somewhere else that, when they're talking, I think it's when they're in the clinic, they're talking about how like the words have power and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of the creatives near Cauldron Lake. Scratching hag, you can rake your claws and gnash your crooked teeth. You've taken slaves like ocean waves. Now feel the ocean seethe.
I definitely burned through my batteries like crazy.
Oh, man. And you get the gigantic flashlight.
Yeah, which is just
So
higher
good.
battery capacity.
Yeah, and a bigger reticle.
But yeah, no, I very much enjoyed this part.
This was awesome.
Then it's just...
Bright Falls, rock and roll capital, USA.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I love that so much. Once I got through that, I had to like urge everybody to play this ASAP.
It's funny when you said you loved chapter 4. I wasn't quite sure what it would be, but then I got to that part. I'm like, that was probably a big part of it.
Well, it's everything regarding those guys.
Yes,
everything about them makes me happy.
They're quite enjoyable. Barry Wheeler. Oh, this is what you were
This
this is
shit.
what you were talking about before.
And if I don't get my way, I'm always. What's that, Al? Ooh, I'm Alan Wake. I'm always right about everything. And if I don't get my way, I'll sulk all day long. I'm always intense and moody. It makes me very attractive and mysterious. Right now, I'm just standing here because I need my best friend Barry to carry me. But that's okay. I can just take him for granted.
I think I see what you did there.
It was pretty good.
Do you want me to do my imitation of Barry Wheeler? No? Thought so.
No? This was the payoff for carrying that freaking cardboard cutout the whole time.
And we're still carrying it.
Aside from the humor of him, like, he keeps like being focused on Alan's like, dude, that's the least of my worries right now. And then it's funny, they mention Ozzy right after.
That's how he learned about Ozzy.
Right. This is the Night Springs episode that Al, or that he's like, oh, maybe you wrote this episode. So they imply that, yeah, he didn't. But it's funny because they wait until tonight's episode.
That's by someone else.
No, it wasn't you.
This was a good one. The Dreamer. The episode about the Dreamer.
Or how they don't want to wake him up, and the second they wake him up, it collapses the world.
And the TV just goes to static. Not the outro.
Yeah,
So-
I had a pet theory about all of the Night Springs to be about multiverse in some way, but then that got kicked.
The third one's just like she kisses him and like it births like a god inside of him or something.
The third
right?
one is some old god ritual stuff.
Right.
I still think that all of them have some sort of a connection, but it's not all parallel universe because I thought that was going to be a deep plan, and then they were going to pull some left-hand turn about how multiverse theory actually matters and all this, but no, it's just these are all little elements of supernatural that they're borrowing from.
Well, the third one was more about the fact that myths that you chase become reality. That was the premise of that, nothing else other than myths become fiction. Well, myths become or first fiction, then become nonfiction.
Which totally bears out, right?
Exactly, yeah.
See if the sleeper has awakened.
It's an alarm clock. Oh no! Don't wake.
A wake.
Yes, a wake.
Yeah, the name pun is definitely strong.
Man, this means...
This is the description in 76.
Yes.
You're right. Their
I love
songs
this.
have power. Something ancient is stirring in the depths, coming back.
The Andersons feel like gods. He contemplates cutting his eye out. Tor runs across the field naked, shrieking, hammer in his hand, trying to catch lightning. Oh my god.
Then their tour schedule, 1975 Ragnarok.
They went a lot of places in less than a month.
Yeah, dude, these are also this is a international tour of like if you want to get into New Orleans, New York City, hang on a minute. Seattle, Long Beach,
Let me go back to
Jacksonville.
They were a well-known band.
Yeah, this so like up until now, and this so this is also something else I'm curious about, and this is neither confirmed nor denied. So they have this international tour. They're all over the place. So theoretically, they should be a household name.
But no one's ever heard of them.
Compared to Thomas Zane, who's also supposed to be incredibly popular, but you can't find a damn thing he's ever done.
Mm-hmm. Is this a Bright Falls effect?
Did this tour actually happen?
Right, to the rest of the world.
Correct. So,
Ragnarok.
what's interesting about this is, yeah, dude, that's just a good one. What's interesting about the rest of this is that Alan Wake or so we think, a published, celebrated author with several books. He's
Hmm.
coming into the town.
But maybe
Isn't
this
he-
town's the only one that knows him.
Hmm?
Interesting.
Well, now that Barry
Possibility.
Wheeler's here, everybody will know about these guys. Because he's going to represent them.
Yeah, he talks about.
He said that
Yeah.
he's
taking
going
on.
So the inverse of it that is, as far as we know, Alan Wake was successful before coming to Bright Falls. Now, that means one of two things. Either one, he's coming into this, he's already famous, and this is more of him getting sucked in. Or two, we're going to find out that he's got more in common with those other two than we think. And then
assuming
how
that he
famous
wasn't a
is he?
creation of Thomas Sane.
Correct. Assuming that he hasn't been tied into all this the whole time. So,
Because remember, Alan Wake's backstory is pretty friggin' weird, right? His youth that he had described in New York City.
Well, I don't remember him describing youth, but I remember the scene of
There
them
was
being together in the Clicker, which is the name of
The
episode
Clicker.
5, by the way.
yeah. Yeah, he was talked about. He talked about how it was a story growing up, and then his wife accused him of just making it up. He does mention that there was some monologue news just walking around that he was inspired by Stephen King, and when he was trying to do it, so he did a lot of writing when he was a teenager, I believe, and growing up. Not that came of anything, it doesn't know, but that implies that he had a childhood that he wanted to, like he always wanted to be a writer.
The only mention I remember of Stephen King was like right here.
This is literally it.
In writing, Stephen King had been a source of inspiration to me. I thought about all the inanimate objects that had come to life in his books.
What's
right
funny,
before you're about to be faced by the...
Right after.
Yep.
No, but also
it's
right
right-
before you're about to be faced by the gigantic bulldozer.
Yes, but it was right after the first poltergeist item attacks you, right? Like there was the poltergeist gate that doesn't
They'd
attack
already
you
been attacked
earlier.
by the poltergeist, yeah.
Yeah. So I just interpreted it as being kind of just focused on that piece, event that just happened.
The ramblings of far now. I wasn't worried about trusting the ramblings of two burned out geriatric rats.
Oh, this shit.
They have the goods.
They had the
This was
goods.
great. Aaron knew it was
Which one?
coming. Right here.
Yep.
You've traveled past the thresher. And you're like, oh god.
Oh, what does Alan say? He's like, you got to be kidding me or something.
Oh man. You ate that thresher.
Wow.
Yeah, I got smacked. It's surprisingly forgiving.
I guess so. Surprise, it's a
Does he-
thresher.
I could see the building that had to be the Andersons' home on the other side of the field. It wasn't far now. I wasn't worried about trusting the
Their house is so cool.
burned out geriatric wrecks. They had the goods.
You guys don't have many, like, shooting flares, flare gun flares, do you?
No.
Huh. I remember dealing with this thing with flare gun flares. I save those things.
I get rid of them.
I say.
I'm just like, oh, flares, cool. I just shoot them.
That's it. You've got to be kidding me, is what he says.
Yes.
Accounts and things in the world.
Yes.
Oh man.
And then it's basically just the house, right?
Yep. And you run around the house, you get drunk.
We're almost there.
Listen to
Screams rang in the stillness of the night. I saw myself run toward the cabin, flashlight in my hand. I followed my path.
And this is right before this happens.
Yes.
But I had no clue what it was talking about. And then it's like, oh, it's in the next like 10 minutes.
A lot of
You
single
listen-
beds in there. Very weird for rock stars, but
Say again?
A lot of single person beds in that house.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this is it's totally different than the Ozzy song, but it's the same. It's actually the same real world band too. Like the Old Gods of Asgard is actually like the story
Poets of the
name
Fall.
of an actual band. Yes, that's it.
It's a subdivision of Poets of the Fall.
See, Alan immediately knows. Oh, they're talking about Cynthia Weaver.
We'll stay here for the night and head back to town as soon as it gets light.
That explains the drinking.
Correct.
Well, I assume that, like, you know, they're not safe still.
Plus, that's what you do in a horror movie.
Before dawn, might as well get some rest. And by rest, I mean drunk.
Come on, Barry. This is. Yeah. What the hell?
Come on. Yeah.
They continue to do natural dialogue very well for a video game. To have it not clunky at all.
Yes, no, I agree. So maybe she's inside Alice. So she like goads you up to the.
If you spin back around, there's 2 ravens over the door.
Over which door?
Assumably that's thought and memory.
Well, there's the big owl. There's the big owl right above the deer.
And turn around and look out inside. You may not. You have no compulsion to do so unless you're just looking around everywhere. But there's the big owl when you go in. If you walk into the room and then spin your camera around, there's 2 ravens on the top of the doorway.
Interesting.
Which is the thought and memory, which was stolen from Odin.
Union and Union. Remember, he was talking about how she stole his thought and memory? Literally, he's losing his mind, but also, that's the name of his 2 ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I did not follow.
Yeah. So Odin in Norse mythology has 2 ravens that are his minions. And those minions translate to thought and memory.
Also in Children of the Elder God, the refrain, which is thought, or what is it? Memory and thought, jet black and clawed.
Okay, so clearly a reference. Interesting. So there's this was the last thing I wanted to bring up. This line right here. Your wife is dead. All she wanted to do was help you right. You killed her. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this, right? Because remember, Maria and I had kind of observed that we thought the dialogue was manipulated in a way that implied that he was actively killing her at that moment.
Yep.
This certainly doesn't
discount that.
Yeah, right. It doesn't explain.
However,
if it's true, it doesn't explain how, right? But
this is something she's telling him before he wrote anything.
Right, so clearly this could be guilt manipulation because she's trying to get him the right.
On the surface level, that's what this is. Whether or not she's telling the truth about what Alan Wake did is to be seen.
True, and also whether or not...
If they choose to answer it, because again, remember the opening line of the game.
Keep in mind, whether or not it was true before he writes something is different than whether it's true after he wrote his manuscript, right? If the manuscript covers her being disappeared and being murdered, right?
But presumably he would never write her dying.
He wasn't really in much control of what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm on those lines about the finally pushing the revenge. Sorry.
Sorry, I looked away and then I looked back and I'm like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, me too. Wondering what happened. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
I think we're also having problems here.
Uh-oh.
You'll notice
this is
Maria never showed up.
I noticed.
Here, you have the power to change things. So you notice the deer with the owl above it. and like these
Yes.
two round windows.
Like eyes.
Binoculars, yeah.
Yes.
Keep in
Also,
mind,
This room is different laid out than the actual study was that he was writing in before. This is a completely separate room.
oh, nice place to leave it.
Yeah.
God, that's creepy.
You.
Which is us, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that
She's looking
Yeah.
at the viewer.
I know that Alan Wake has a spirit version of himself. I was assuming.
Yeah, right. Alan's writing. She's looking right at the camera.
Exactly. I mean, But how would she? Also, the cabins below the waves.
I remembered it all now.
As you said before, it's a lot clearer in that video.
Yes.
Here now. I'm here because it was written. I brought the light to set you free. You must hurry. You will know I'm here. It will be back soon. She stole the skin of my barber.
And you can hear the same breathing.
That's the same breathing. Yeah.
It's going to do the zoom out, and you'll be able to see.
I'd woken up, confused and groggy, my mind consumed by darkness and fear. All I could do was to escape.
Is that him saying Barbara?
Barbara.
So there's where you can see the.
Yep. The design.
Right. The heel is on the left, and you see the 3 or 4 kind of thing sticking out. So definitely a foot.
Had taken its toll. I was barely conscious.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Must find the witch's cabin key.
Yes. I definitely like
And
both of these songs.
And this tells the story of Tom Zane.
Yes. So I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. It's a good place to stop. We're going to do chapters 5 and 6 be done, right?
5 and 6
and then
be
we'll
done.
talk about going further, right?
I have a question about trailers.
Like
trailers.
A place to live?
Yeah, so this may just be my own personal ignorance, but this threw me off, and I thought it meant something, and then it turned out that it didn't. But when you go into this trailer, there is a part of the trailer that you cannot access.
Is that Rose's house?
Yes. So if you notice, here's the kitchen. You walk back, there's the bedroom, and then there is no way to get into the area between the bedroom and the kitchen. I walked around to the back of the house, and
So like there's a room that doesn't exist?
there is a rear entrance to the back.
That's
just
not
to
normal.
that one room. I did not find that back door anywhere else in the trailer parks.
That's not a normal trailer feature.
Okay.
That's not a normal house feature.
This threw me off because I was looking for stuff. So like,
unless you have like a separate apartment.
Oh, right there, the wall with the TV, and then you walk to the side. This whole area that you're walking on, that part of the trailer is not accessible
From inside the
the
trailer.
front door. You have to go around to the back door, and then there's just that one room in the back there.
And there's no bathroom, assumedly, in this house.
No, there's not.
Most
so is the
trailers would have a bathroom.
Yeah. This trailer is weird.
It's a weird space.
I did not notice that.
in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe I just don't know how trailers are built because I don't know much about trailers.
No, they're built like a house.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And again, I looked around the rest of the trailer park and I'm like, okay, there's no weird random back door to a single room that's not accessible by the rest of the freaking house.
When Tatsu was doing Sims, his house was more of a trailer than this trailer was.
Yeah.
Because it was a house that you'd live in.
Okay.
He did have that room without a door though.
Okay, so the fact that it's a weird random one room accessible from the back okay. This is also the kind of stuff that this game likes to do. Is just have weird things.
Creepy spaces.
Explain. Creepy spaces.
Creepy things.
What's going on? What's going on in that creepy space in her house?
Well, that's probably where Barbara Jagger is sitting.
Huh?
She probably made the door. She probably made the door disappear. How the hell does she make anything happen? I don't know. She phases in and out of reality.
She's
what is the
Baba
door
Yaga.
present? The witch.
The witch.
It's Baba Yaga. The witch. That Ant-Man scene. All right, that is that's it for now. We'll do 5 and 6, and we'll be done. Or we won't, because there is DLC, and apparently the DLC is quite good.
I will definitely have to get going on the remaster.
We don't have to do this super fast either, so don't worry about it. But I'm going to play 5 and 6 quickly.
Got to find out what happens, huh?
Need to know. All right.
Very good.
That's it for the
couple more hours. Yeah, it's probably 2 to 3 hours per chapter, probably. So,
or less even. I don't know if the last chapter is going to hold up and be as. I think that third chapter was the beefiest so far.
Long combat arena, pretty much.
So 3 took me 2.5. Sorry, and 4 took me 2.5. They were both exactly 2.5, pretty much. Not exactly, but within 5 minutes.
4 felt like it went quicker.
And you've seen how I play. Look at
the same way we play.
Same way we play, yeah. It's 2.5 hours.
So
you have a whole crew of people who would walk in the wrong direction on purpose.
Yeah, you have like someone screaming over here. I'm like, but collectibles, and I go this way.
Though I will pay attention to the main path and then go back. There's the difference. Except for when they're trying to force you into something that's going to, push you on to the next area, like with the trailer park. All right, until next time.